Hello there and welcome to Trope on a Rope, the show where we take a look at cinema's item bag and rummage through the various bits and bobs that have come to define it. Today we conclude our deep dive into the heroes who have been wronged by former associates and now, having had everything taken from them, find themselves at rock bottom. They may be down, but they're not out. So strap in, because adventure is afoot. Teams need to be gathered, plans need to be made, and scores need to be settled.
And lessons need to be learned.
As we look at the Revenge Heist. My name's Jeff, and I'm joined by Mr. Colin Gerard. Nat 20, bitch.
That's me. I'm Colin. Hi.
So today we are looking at Dungeons and Dragons, not the what was it, 90s weird one with Jeremy Irons? With bad CGI?
Yeah, which had nothing to do with Dungeons and Dragons, just had a dragon in it. Did it even have a dungeon in it?
Well, you're going to like my blurb in a minute.
It's like all a Game of Thrones Dungeons and Dragons. Fucking hell.
When I was writing my notes, I was looking at the Wikipedia entry for this, and it mentioned the original Dungeons and Dragons. It also mentioned that this isn't related to those. It's set in a slightly different story world from the game. It's from the game, but the game has multiple story worlds, and this new one is set in a different story world than the previous film. And the fact that the previous film was a trilogy.
What?
your face. Yes, apparently it's a trilogy. The straight to video, I assume the second two. The first one should have been. But yeah, that's a thing that happened, apparently.
I don't get it. When you contract AIDS, you don't try and contract AIDS a further 2 times. You just give up and try to get rid of the AIDS. Why would you make a further 2 Dungeons and Dragons movies?
I thought that you would stick with the AIDS metaphor there. Why would you go for further AIDS? Let me see. I've just brought up the Wikipedia page.
God, you've just really ruined my day. Fuck.
The original Dungeons and Dragons film was called Dungeons and Dragons. That's what it was called. That was made in 2000, and to be honest, it's great self-control on the part of the makers of that film that they didn't call it Dungeons and Dragons 2000.
Because like everything else in 2000 was called Nunchalo 2000.
Yeah. So well done for not doing that. But the sequel to that was called Dungeons and Dragons
2001.
Dungeons and Dragons Wrath of the Dragon God. And that was in 2005.
I thought it was going to be something like Dungeons and Even More Dragons.
The third one, Dungeons and Dragons 3, from 2012. Jesus.
I thought that one was going to be called Dungeons and Why?
Fucking hell. Actually, second one, let's go back to that, Wrath of the Dragon God. It was released in theatres in Europe, in North America, and then released on DVD. The third one was straight to DVD. It was called... This is a clunky title. The Book of Vile Darkness.
Is it called Dungeons and Dragons, The Book of Vile Darkness, or was it just a random...
Yeah, it's called Dungeons and Dragons 3, The Book of Random Vile Darkness. And then we've got what's it called? This current one, which is Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves. So let's minimize that window, and I've got me blurb. Dungeons and Dragons follows the story of sticky-fingered Edgin, a master planner who for some reason plans a job with a con artist and a red witch, believing it will turn out well. When it obviously doesn't, he loses everything, including his daughter and his freedom. Securing the latter, he seeks the former, in a movie that has exactly 2 dungeons and 2 dragons, confirming the pluralization of the title accurate.
Which makes me happy.
This film. What's your initial thoughts of this film?
Actually, wait. There was only one dragon.
No, there's 2.
No, it's the same dragon. It just got fat.
No, I think it's a different dragon.
Okay, I thought it was the same one.
It's a different dragon. The big fat dragon, he fires fire. He breathes fire.
Yeah.
Whereas the first one breathes out like black tar.
Oh, I didn't notice that. All right, fair dues. I just assumed it was this. I assumed that that it was now guarding treasure and it had just been eating people coming in and got fat. I thought that was quite funny.
I will tell you what, though. When I say 2 dungeons, is it?
No.
Because I'm counting when the second one is kind of the games. When they're in that little square thing underground, that's the closest thing to a second dungeon that they have.
Which is more of a labyrinth.
Yeah, but yeah, the one that they go back to the dungeon at the prison twice.
Yeah,
but that's still the same place.
Exactly. Revisiting the same dungeon and the same dragon who got fat.
It wasn't the same dragon that got fat. Anyway, this film. What were your initial thoughts about this film, other than the accuracy of the title?
Damn it! You took away my only point. Before watching it, I had previously seen and tried to forget Jeremy Irons' version, and assumed this was going to be pretty shit. But you sent me a message saying it was good, so I do value your opinion. I gave it a chance, and yeah, it was fucking good. Like, it's just nice storytelling, just very simple, straightforward, good.
This film is an honest joy.
Yeah,
it's fucking great.
And it's not even like it has lots of comedy, but it's not like a really slapstick comedy. It's not like overly intellectual comedy either. It's just a nice little mix.
Yeah, it's more like conversational comedy. Like, it's just like how people would talk if they were all super weird. It's a little bit like sitcom-y.
Yeah.
This film is really good. It's charming as fuck, is how I would describe it, especially in its comedy. It's charming as hell. The first time I watched it, I thought it was amazing. The second time I've seen it now, I think some of its charm covers some of the holes in the plot a little bit. But I am forgiving of it.
The thing,
of its holes in the plot.
Another thing I liked about it was that it's rare to have a cast, like an ensemble cast, where they're all genuinely likable, like likable characters. You even kind of like the bad guy, Hugh Grant. Recently, Hugh Grant's become amazing.
Right, let's talk about Hugh Grant for a minute, because we've had this chat off air before, I think. And I tell you what, this is a big miss by me. In our trope list, we have a list of all the tropes that we're going to cover on the show, and then we pick a random one for each season. Series.
By the way, anyone listening, if you have an idea for a trope that you'd like to hear, feel free to comment, and
chuck us a message on Twitter at the moment, I suppose, at TBA_tweets, or whatever that website is called now. So we have a trope list, and on that list, it's not just tropes. We've got actors, and we've also got film series like Star Wars and stuff like that. But I haven't put Hugh Grant's Renaissance on there, and I think really, really should.
But because there are other actors who've decided to reinvent themselves, who got typecast as a certain type of actor, and then took a break and decided to reinvent themselves. But he actually really pulled it off well.
Yeah, so he was like the bumbling British, like I couldn't possibly.
I'd very much like to, if you don't mind, like if it wouldn't be a problem at some point in the future, maybe if it's okay with you, possibly take you out for dinner.
And now he's like taking interesting roles, and mostly he's trying to have the most fun on a set that he seems that he can get.
Yeah.
That was a shit sentence. He seems to be trying to have the most fun he possibly can whilst filming. And it's great. I mean, it seems to have started around Cloud Atlas time.
Yeah.
And it's just really picked off since then.
What was that recent one that was on Netflix where he played the reporter, the Cockney reporter?
Oh, The Gentleman.
He was fucking fantastic in that.
Yeah, it almost steals the show in that, but there's a lot of good characters in that film. And he's in another Guy Ritchie film on Amazon where he just plays pretty much the same character again, but you can just tell that he's having the time of his life, and God bless Hugh Grant. and his further adventures.
I've totally 180'd on him. I used to really not like Hugh Grant at all, and now I think he's
didn't
good.
like I'm sorry to offend as some learned person.
Just say the
words. So shall we talk about the team then? So we've got Hugh Grant, who's the bad guy.
Yeah.
On a good guys team, we've got Edgin, who is Chris Pine, the man with the plan. So we got Holger, which is Michelle Rodriguez.
She plays the warrior character, the barbarian.
Yeah, she's the muscle. So yeah, Edgin, Chris Pine, he's the man with the plan. Holger, Michelle Rodriguez, she's the muscle. Simon, who's Justice Smith, is the mage. Doric, who is Safina Lillis, I think her name is, who's the shapeshifter. And then later on we get Zank, who is Reggae Jean Page, who's the mentor.
I really liked him.
Yeah, he's good in it. And then we have Kira, who's Chloe Coleman, who's the kid. And then the bad guys, we have Forge as Hugh Grant is Conman, and then Safina Daisy Head as the Red Witch. But the team, how are we feeling about the team?
It's a bit slapdash, shooter hamper, kind of. He obviously doesn't have many choices of who he can choose to be in the team in the first place, so he just took what he could get. But they have good chemistry. You got the shit mage who can literally just light a candle on his finger and make the smell of grass happen, freshly cut grass happen. I can't remember the actress's name, but Holger, I think everything I've ever seen in, she's always been like the macho kind of, like a...
Michelle Rodriguez.
Yeah, that's the one, Michelle Rodriguez. She's always been like the macho. But like, fuck it, she's scary as shit, so... And also at the same time, really nice and cute. Like, I really like her character because she has both of that. She is scary as shit, and she would beat the shit out. She would beat the shit out of me. But at the same time, she's really nice and lovable.
Yeah, Holger. Yeah, Michelle Rodriguez. I love anything that Michelle Rodriguez is in.
She's the obvious. Just can't say anything but the exact truth or what she's thinking. Just like straight to the point.
Yeah. I love the fact that like most of the. She keeps having... Everyone has these little comments in the background that like come to fruition later. Like she has a little comment about maybe she could turn into a deer. What, a deer in the middle of a city?
Yeah, really blend in, right? Told you she'd turn into a deer. Stop talking about it.
Justice Smith is the mage. I like Justice Smith. He plays a very similar character to stuff he's done in the past, but
lacks confidence, doesn't believe in himself, but again, he's just a good guy.
The least famous of the main cast is probably Doric, the shapeshifter.
Yeah. What's her name? The actress.
Sophia Lillis. She's in. I've not seen the remake of It.
I have. Is she in that?
She's the girl.
Oh yeah. probably should have noticed that.
Becomes Jessica Chadwick in the second one. Is the grown-up version.
Don't remember. Oh yeah, no, yeah, you're right. Yeah, because I forgot there was a sequel to It.
Yeah.
Is
they're adults.
Is the sequel Them? Sorry.
It's your choice for No, I'm going to keep that. I'm not going to cut that out. I'm going to keep it in.
By the way, I like
so that you learn.
I like bad jokes. I apologize.
The team. I like the team, and I like the fact that they all seem to like do something. I know, like Doric, like points out with Chris Pine, like, what do you do once the plan is?
That's a great one. If the plan fails, then I make another plan. So you plan to fail? What?
You make bad plans.
That's what you make bad plans. But, no, that's not what I'm saying.
And she's kind of right, because he does do that through the rest of the film. Not to jump ahead too far, but he's like, right, plan B, right, plan C. No, back to B, and now D, which is half B and half C.
Isn't that just plan A? Well, yeah, but that one's got a bad taint on it, so...
Yeah, I forgot about the taint. Never forget about the taint. Right, let's get into the film proper. So we've got part one, the backstory. So it starts. Edgin and Holger. Is it Holger or Helga? I just
Holger.
Holger. Edgin and Holger. They're in prison. We don't know why. To start, but they're just in their cells eating potatoes and knitting mittens and breaking a random guy's legs because he tries to hit on Holger like straight away.
Well, mostly it's because he interrupts her eating a potato.
Are you suggesting that maybe if she wasn't eating the potato that she might have been interested?
Well, she wouldn't have been interested, but she might not have like broken his legs. Like Chris Pine does mention, she doesn't like it when you interrupt her eating potatoes.
Yeah, he did. Well, he did warn her. Warn him, sorry. They go before the parole board, and they begin to. Chris Pine begins to reluctantly tell their backstory because they're actually waiting for one certain member of the board, Jonathan. Who is not there yet.
I absolutely love the fact that he has such a normal name. Where's Jonathan?
Yeah, so you're not suspicious of it, but they do. Watching it back, I did notice that when they're outside cutting ice, Chris Pine does say the species name.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, but because I know shit all about. Oh, incidentally, just a blanket statement. I know fuck all about Dungeons and Dragons, the game. So if I mention something that's from the game, I don't know.
I know a little bit. I've never played it, but I know a little bit.
So revel in our ignorance because we're just talking about the film itself, not the game. So if there's references to anything, it's because I saw it on Wikipedia, maybe.
I'm actually surprised that in this movie they didn't have like just randomly background someone playing dice or something.
I tell you what, before we get deeper into the film, I forgot to write this down. I'm surprised that they didn't do it. Maybe they would have done this years ago. Like the Forbidden Kingdom style of having a modern fantasy where it starts in the real world,
and then they get launched into a fantasy world.
It starts in the real world, and like they're playing actual Dungeons and Dragons, and then there's like a magical fucking dice, and he rolls a nat 20 or something like that. I know the word nat 20. I know what that means.
Natural 20.
Yeah. What does it mean in the context of the game? Not a fucking clue.
It means that when your character has like bonus scores on your character sheet and you roll like a 17, but you get the bonus of like +3, that's not a natural 20. That's a 20 that you got by bonus points. But if you roll an actual number 20 on the dice, that's like, whoa, that's amazing. And you get like a extra bonus, like a damage or whatever.
But yeah, no, Jonathan, he has a completely normal name, but then turns out to be a giant bird.
Jonathan. Great choice for a name.
But before we get into Jonathan's starring role, Egan's telling the tragic backstory. And like he's an ex-harper, which is a kind of knight's spy thing.
Yeah, I'm not really sure it is, but yeah, they generally do good for the citizens.
Yeah. The quote he gives is it's not a quote, I paraphrase this, but serve the innocent without asking for anything in return.
Yes.
So it's like he's fine with the first part, but not quite so much with the second half.
Yeah, I would be too. Like, where do you get your fucking money from?
Yeah, it seems not to make sense from an organizational point of view. Like you've got these highly trained people that you've brought up
with specialist skills,
weapons, armor, specialist skills, and then you're not paying them, and then you don't expect them to become like thieves and shit and do stuff on the side to make actual money, because that's how the world works.
If they happen to come across a shitload of money during their travels, they have to give it out to the citizens. It's just a kick in the teeth. Not only are we not going to pay you, but if you actually find any money, give it away.
Anyway, he's got like an idyllic life in a lovely house in this what looks like the center of the only part of town they could be bothered to build for this film. His wife though, she gets killed by a red wizard's blade, which can't be healed. So she dies, and he goes off the rail and takes a baby to the pub and gets so drunk he falls off a stool. Class act.
Yep, sounds about what I would do too.
It's there he meets Holger and they raise the kid together. I do like the fact that there's no like romance between those two.
Yeah, same here. I also really like the relationship between Holger and his daughter. Like she's like her second mother.
Yeah, he mentions early doors that they're like brother and sister. I'm like, great, you've snuffed out the chance that you'll end up fucking later. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Like, what the barman like says, would you and your wife want anything else? And they're both like,
what? No way. What wife? Fuck off.
She just makes one comment too far, and she's just like, can you imagine kissing those lips? And then he's like, yeah. What's wrong with my lips?
People like my lips.
Too big for your face.
Yeah.
Anyway, they start a thieving and they get a band together and then they do a heist. And it's the heist. They do a bunch of heists, but it's the one that we mentioned in the opening blurb.
The first one they do is what gets. Well, not the first one, but it gets his daughter the pendant that lets her turn invisible.
Yeah,
which is important later on.
Yeah, which they just steal from a shop.
Right. Just smash the window.
Yeah. That's an incredibly powerful piece of magical items just to be in a shop window. Mind you, like that's like fantasy RPG rules, isn't it? It's just like, oh yes, we have really dangerous stuff just on a shelf over there.
Here's a random magic book to awaken the undead. Really?
So they do a heist. It's the heist that we mentioned in the blurb at the beginning. With a con man on the team, never trust a con man, which they do point out, and with a creepy ass red witch, and they go into a Harper stronghold. And by the way, if we're playing fantasy bingo, fortress on top of a sea stack out in the ocean. There's always one of them.
That's 20 points.
Yeah, right. And he's talking about like they left the kid behind because just in case she didn't tell her about the amulet of reawakening, which is what he's after.
Yeah,
and the red witch.
Am I right in thinking before this Forge told him about this amulet of reawakening, whatever, was he planning on quitting the thieving game at that point?
I don't know, possibly. I can't remember, but it's like I think rather that they just get into they shouldn't have taken the job with the red witch.
Yeah.
Because one, she creepy ass.
And two, she's a fucking red witch.
Yeah. So what are you doing? He says, well, we didn't tell her. I'm also surprised that the tablet of reawakening is a real thing and not just the thing that Forge bullshitted to get him in the room.
Yeah, that's true. Although, no, because he planned on screwing him over anyway, so he could have just lied about it.
Yeah, she needed so the thing is a Harper's stronghold, and he's quit the Harpers, but he's still got like the key to get into their houses and shit, because for some reason you don't have to hand in your access card when you leave work.
It's because they're all too nice, and they trust he'll come back and have a change of heart, be good again.
So he can get him in there, so she needs him. She needs to get in there so that she can get the red horn the red horn of red fart death. That's what she's after. And then they convince him to go. He doesn't want to do it. He knows it's dodgy, and Forge convinces him to do it by telling him about the tablet of reawakening. So it doesn't need to have been a real thing because he's the only person that's after it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So he's like, we didn't tell the kid about the tablet reawakening just in case things went to shit. And one of my favourite lines of this is, if things went to shit, and to shit it went. The tablet of reawakening as well also has a tripwire attached to it. That's how they get caught.
Yeah, like a thin hair.
Yeah. Which I'm sure is on Fantasy Bingo as well.
But why wasn't the horn of death and rebirth didn't have a tripwire in it?
Yeah, that's my point. Why is the red horn of fart death not?
That was way more dangerous than the.
That's world-ending shit right there. Also, why is that in that room?
The horn.
Yeah.
They're keeping it away from people. They're keeping it safe. Keep it secret. Keep it safe.
They never explain how they go, because later we'll cover it later.
That's a good point, actually.
How the horn is used, but the horn is used successfully by that bad guy later on in the film.
Yeah.
When does he lose the horn?
Yeah, and why is he dead and a ghost? I hadn't really thought about that, actually, because he appears twice in the movie. One is in the flashback explaining what the horn is and why it's so bad.
Yeah.
And the second one is that he's just a shimmery, smoky ghost in the corner. That other than that, he doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
How did he die? Why is he a ghost?
Right. So let's talk about what the horn does. It's explained later, but we'll say it now. So there's the Thens or something like that. I can't remember what race or nation it is. A red priest takes over a country by using the red horn of fart death, by sucking tendrils of death out of the air that turn into a fart gas that goes out across the population. Whilst the population has been gathered together, the mist goes across the population and it turns them into like undead zombie armies.
Yeah, that just kill anyone and turn on even their closest family.
Which the hot guy from Bridgerton, he survives. And escapes. After his parents turn on him. So that was completely successful what that wizard did. And apparently it was contained within that one country as well. Hot guy from Bridgerton says so. So what's the point in having a zombie army if you're not going to use it against the world?
I'm assuming that it was the Harpers. The Harpers must have, because they have the horn, right?
Yeah.
So they must, like it was only there wasn't enough people that turned, and the Harpers managed to kill him and take the horn and solve the situation in some way. But it's not actually explained.
Yeah. So is that country just fucked now? What's a country where everyone's a zombie army? What's your day-to-day life? What's the healthcare situation going on? You're paying taxes?
Like the same with the conversation about Blade. Once everyone's turned into an undead zombie, what do they eat?
And now that you're the king of the zombies, what
next?
You've not got many. You've not got many leadership challenges, do you?
Well, now I've finally got control of the entire Earth via zombies. Let's talk about the healthcare system.
Right, let's look at today's itinerary. And, yep, everyone's dead still.
Finally, we can have gun control.
But we live in a world with magic, so that's 1,000 times worse.
Sorry, magic control.
So at some point, we're assuming that at some point the Harpers have got this horn, and then they've put it in this one room with a bunch of other shit.
Yeah.
With one door.
With a lot of gold, which they're supposed to give away to citizens.
All right, okay. So, yeah, no, they're breaking some rules there.
Not cool.
So, anyway, during this heist, back to the heist, they're in this room. Edgin sets off the alarm by taking the tablet of reawakening. A bunch of soldiers turn up. Safina, what's her name? Safina, she does a time stop and gets everyone stuck in the room except for Forge and presumably her because she's controlling it. But then Jonathan turns up and apparently, yes, as we mentioned, he's a giant birdman. They grab him, they dive out the window in the hopes that he'll fly them to safety. Even though his parole,
we've just approved your pardon.
To make that better, that was brilliant. I did like that. But to make it better, when they landed on the ground and checked on Jonathan, they was like, "Did you hear what they said when we were left?" Did you hear anything? I heard them shout something, but it wasn't clear because it was like windy and shit.
We was falling.
Yeah, and she just throws a potato. That's also quite fun.
Oh yeah,
she throws a potato at one of the guards, and then one of the parole boards just goes, "She's throwing potatoes," which I thought was a great line.
Thanks, Dave. We can see that.
Right, part 2. Getting into Neverwinter. The problem that they're faced with, Cole, is that while they were in prison, as well for you saw same film, while they were in prison, Forge has taken all the money and the witch, and set himself up as Lord of Neverwinter, a really nice town.
Yeah, the witch is made the lord of the city sick and incapacitated so that Forge can just jump in and take over.
He's also taken Edgin's daughter, who Edgin did say, look after my daughter, but he's like taken her under his wing, treats her like his own, and has kind of turned her against her father and Holger.
Actually, I quite like that scene where he like reveals that it's like more like his daughter now. Like, because the way he lies and manipulates that situation is genius.
Yeah, I do like his manipulation, but I don't like her. I think she accepts it a little bit too much.
Yeah, just straight away assumes, yeah, fucking hell, my father is a massive cunt. Hey.
Yeah. And not only for her father, like, he has the air of a man who's a bit dodge.
But what about Holger?
That's my point. What about her relationship with Holger? She should like treat that a little bit more.
Like, at least give her a chance to explain.
Like, he says that it's not a tablet of reawakening, but a tablet of riches, and that's why they're back, not for the kid, but to get this tablet of riches.
But it's really clever because he manipulates it in such a way that they have to leave the city after that in order to actually get the girl back. But because they left the city, he can then just say to them, "Oh yes, I gave them the tablet of riches."
Yeah,
and then they just left. They left without me? Yes. They really did just want the riches. Like, he's really clever about how he manipulates it.
He also reveals that they're wanted for escaping prison, which, again, they didn't have to do. But yeah, Hugh Grant is having so much fun in this scene. Especially, like, with the... including, like, with the hot tea, and he gets the witch to cool it down, and he's like, didn't think you put your finger in the cup.
It's unnecessarily hot. There's just literally no reason to be this hot. So anyway, as I was saying...
they have to get out of town. And they gather the band together. They get Simon in a nice little scene in the little church.
Yeah.
So they get Simon back on board. They recruit Doric as well.
Who Simon's in love with.
Simon's in love with. He's tried to court her in the past, but it didn't work out.
She doesn't even remember who he is at first.
He says, "Yeah, I'm Simon. I courted you before." My favourite line from him is when, "Remember, I made you sad, not because of anything I did, just because of who I am." And then she goes, "Oh yeah."
Why are you here?
So their plan is to break into the city, steal the money, and get the kid back. Doric questions Egan's role, as we mentioned earlier. Doric does the sneaking in.
She's really useful.
Yeah, she's super useful. Like, when you meet her, she's like, what is she?
She's saving.
Someone's being executed.
Yeah. Someone's
being executed, but it's not her. She's one of the horses that the bad guys are riding.
Yeah. And then she
turns
into a giant, muscly owl.
An owl bear.
Okay.
Because they're like, what is that? It's an owl bear. Beats the shit out of everyone, and then they escape. But yeah, she is really useful. I know people decry the use of CG in films a lot, but her sneaking in and then her escape from the castle is some of the best fucking CG and the use of CG I've seen in fucking ages.
Definitely. And like, the thing is, I decry CG a lot, but there is a time and a place to use it, and when it's used well, it's amazing. It's just when you use it for literally everything and for things that you don't need to use CG for. Yeah. It's just fucking annoying.
So she sneaks into the room with they got to find out where the vault is and what magic is being used on the vault to keep it shut.
Yeah.
So she disguises herself. She transforms into a fly, and she's watching as the Red Wizard is explaining what's on the what magic is used. Red Wizard discovers her, and then she skedaddles through a vent in the wall or through a crack in the floor, and then transforms into a different animal, then into herself, hiding in a suit of armor, and then into something else, and then into something else, and then into a bird,
Into a rat at some point.
Into a rat, into herself one more time, and then into a deer. And it's fucking great.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Turns out, though, that the vault door is like, I can't remember how they describe it, but it's double magic.
Yes, that's a really strong some kind of spell on it.
You know how magic this is? Double
magic.
Some would say triple. So they can't get through. They can't get through with just Simon's normal magic. So, part 3. This is my title of part 3. The magic helmet, that's an incredibly powerful, potentially world-ending doomsday device that hundreds have lost their life over to protect. But let's give it to these 4 dudes I literally just met at the docks.
The MacGuffin of mastery.
They call it the Helm of Disjunction.
Yeah, which I'm not sure why they call it that, but okay. It's a helm. I get that part.
Tis a helm. I got the helm and of.
Yeah.
I need a dictionary for the last one. So it turns out, hundreds of years ago, Helga's people fought in a world war to protect the helm. So they go to the battle site to question the dead. Swinging by on the way, her old village, which, by the way, looks suspiciously like Edgin's.
Yeah, it does. It's like they went to the back door.
They just turned the house around. For a magic stick and to meet surprise Badley Cooper.
Oh, they didn't even go for a magic stick. It was a present that Holger gave to him. And he's like a little tiny hobbit or something. But who apparently really likes massive women.
And and Holger likes tiny men, because there's a bit right at the end where she meets like an ambassador for that country or whatever it is, and she's like, "Sup?"
I forgot about that.
You know what time it is?
He's so cute.
So yeah, they go to this battle site, and what's his name? Simon. He's got like a little pendulum thing that can reawaken the dead for like 5 questions.
Yeah.
Which was a great scene. I love this scene.
Yeah, so it's brilliant.
Did that question count? Yes. Well, he thought I was asking him.
Do you really want to waste? Do you really want to waste your questions with these questions?
Yes.
Fuck.
It takes them like 3 or 4 people, because it's trying to track what happened to the helm after the battle, but because they're dead, they don't know.
Yeah, because like most of them had the helm, and they're like, I gave it to Dave. Oh, okay, so then they find Dave. He's like, well, the last thing I remember was falling out of a bath and dying. What?
Yeah. No, I didn't even go to the battle.
No, I think you mean my brother.
But it turns out that the last guy that they talked to, he handed it over to the hot guy from Bridgerton. And then they leave him with 1 question, and therefore he's got to stay undead.
And I do like they do foreshadow that with the first person they talk to. Like he finds out where the helm is, and he goes, "Okay, let's ask the next guy." He's like, "You have to ask the other questions, otherwise it's going to remain alive for the rest of time."
Yeah, and then they finally do that, and then he's like, "Ah, shit."
Yeah, after questioning about 20 people and getting bored of it.
Also, like when Chris Pine is talking to Simon about, does this question count? Does he think I'm asking a question? And then it does count. With that last guy, with the information they get, they have a conversation amongst themselves next to the dead guy.
Yeah.
And in that conversation, loads of questions come up. Which he doesn't answer, so he could have...
He could have just been like, I know the answer.
Someone goes, like, that's pretty dangerous, isn't it? And, like, he could have answered and gone, yes, and then died and been fine.
So it's slightly his own fault.
Yeah. The guy from Bridgerton, right, it's pointed out he talks, like, in riddles and, like, old rhymes and stuff like that, and, like, fortune cookie-like things.
He slightly reminds me of the Guardians of the Galaxy, the tattoo guy, the big strong one. He doesn't seem to understand metaphor or like or innuendo, anything. He just takes everything literally.
You are right. I was thinking though of the guy from Mystery Men.
Which one?
The guy who's training them to become. You must master your fear, or fear will be your master. Is that what you were
Okay,
say?
yeah. So it's like a combination of those. The combination of those
Yeah.
two things. That would.
I thought you would have got there because you like Mystery Men, don't you?
I hate it and love it at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah. So he gives the backstory on the red fart stuff, and he agrees to give them this dangerous helmet. So he takes them to the under. I think it's called the Underdark, but I've written the Undertaint.
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called, but yeah, somewhere dark.
He also he paints it as this place of like unimaginable horrors,
Like hell or something.
yeah. But it's just like there's one fat dragon and some dudes.
And it's the inside of a volcano.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing down there really. There's those brain monsters that just walk past them because they don't sense intelligence.
I like that as well.
But apart from that, it's the fat dragon, and then that's it.
Yeah, which is the same dragon from before.
I loved the bit about the bridge.
Well, where he does that massive explanation.
Yeah,
That was brilliant.
it reminded me of how what was that CITV show, like Dungeon Master or something like that? You know, where the kids wore a helmet and then the
Go forward, go left.
Yeah, it reminded me of that.
I think that Dungeon. No,
Nightmare.
Yeah, that's a brilliant show.
Yes, that's it. So, yeah, he gives this big explanation of how to get across the complicated trap bridge, and then Justice Smith just put 1 foot on a step. And he's like, "Sorry, I didn't realise this was where the bridge technically began."
The entire bridge collapses.
Yeah. Why do treasure cave designers do that? Because how do you reset that?
I don't think you do.
Well, I'm thinking the Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Wait, is this where the helm is?
Yeah, this is where the helm
Okay,
is.
yeah. Sorry, yeah.
There's Raiders of the Lost Ark has one of these corridors. Not Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's
The Last Crusade.
Last Crusade. Thank you very much. Where he has to step on the letters that spell out the name of God.
Jehovah.
In Hebrew. Jehovah, but Jehovah begins with an I, and he's like, J, and goes straight through the floor.
In the old Aramaic, Jehovah started with an I. Who the fuck knows Aramaic?
I'm thinking in Goonies, where they find that bone piano, and if they press the wrong keys, the floor drops away into a ball of pit. One, who designs that? How do you reset it? Can you reset it? And if you can't reset it, why do our heroes, when they get to those, why have they not been set off by someone in the hundreds of years between now and when it was built?
Yeah, and I'm assuming if you make a treasure cave, it's to keep your treasure in it that maybe at some point you'll want to retrieve and use for something. Like in the Goonies, the pirates obviously want to get their treasure back. Just by making this one trap that could make the place completely inaccessible. Like, if someone turns up and sets off the trap, you just fucked yourself. You can't get the treasure either now, you twat.
And logistically, how are we building this? Like, are none of the workers going, so what happens to this thing?
There's many contractors, Jeff, that you can hire. Lots of very talented contractors.
But yeah, what's his name? Simon. He sets off the bridge, but they get the... How do you feel about them having the hither-thither staff and it just being a walking stick? Basically, they get a portal gun.
Yeah, I mean, it was another random MacGuffin, but
Yeah.
It was also extremely useful in many...
It's not even a MacGuffin, it's Deus Ex Machina. It's just, how do we get over this? Magic stick!
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, it's like they did find it earlier. No, I can't really explain this away. It was a bit fucking random. Like that her husband, ex-husband or whatever, has had that fucking thing for ages, and not once has he like pulled it straight and accidentally found out his hither-thither stick.
So yeah, they use basically a portal gun to get across to the other side. They wake up. They get the helm, wake up a fat dragon, fight some dudes, and then they escape. None of this matters though, because Simon can't even use the fucking helmet. He's got like attuned to it. He goes into a weird realm when he puts it on, meets an ancestor who tells him he's a bag of shit, and then kicks him out again.
Yeah, which he had actually previously mentioned to Chris Pine. Why are we even getting this thing? I won't be able to use it. I can't do it. And he's like, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
So they have a little bit of a conflict about the fact that Chris Pine, even though being the plan man, he's been kind of winging it.
Yep.
And don't get me wrong, I love a man who wings stuff.
And he does wing it pretty well generally, but
yeah,
just not perfectly.
He's the king of wing. So with the helmet of bust, they use the hither. They use the magic stick.
Shit, I can't say it now. Fuck.
They're gonna sneak Doric into the vault by hiding the portal on a painting and then sneaking the painting into the treasure.
That was a pretty fucking clever plan.
But the painting falls over in the vault, so that it's facing the floor,
which was unfortunate.
They're even like, why would they store it like that? The others, though, they just walk into the city via the front door.
That's a good point.
They do. He does say Plan C, though. He says, "I got a good feeling about Plan C," and they use the fake minstrel.
Yeah, like Simon creates an illusion, right?
Yeah, but then Simon gets his foot stuck in
and distracts him
in a hole, and then the illusion starts to break down
in a hilarious way.
It sounds like a broken record.
And then it starts morphing into like and melting almost. I was like, what the?
And then just goes fuck.
Who is it? It says, is it Holger? He goes, I think they might be getting suspicious now.
So they break in. Doric turns into a worm or something to sneak underneath the fallen over painting. They get into the vault, but the vault's empty because nothing's in the vault because everything's actually on a boat. Because
Forge is screwing.
What's his name?
Forge is screwing over everyone in the city now.
Yeah, he's taken all the gold and he's going to fuck off on a barge with the kid,
and the treasure.
Safina catches the gang, right?
Sorry,
Safina.
How does she get?
She turns into tentacle monsters.
Oh yeah.
Come out of the ground, start grabbing everyone. She gets everyone, and then instead of killing them, she puts them in the games.
Yeah, why was that again? She had a reason. I
can't remember.
Maybe she wants them to join the undead.
Potentially, yeah.
I can't remember. I seem to remember she had a reason. I can't fucking remember what it was though.
I can't remember what it was either. But she should have probably just
Either way,
because
either way is a thin as hell reason.
I think the main reason is because if she killed them, then it's credits. Then
still would have been a good conclusion to the story.
Yeah, the games. How did you feel about the games? They had a giant coliseum with a builder maze thing going on.
Yeah, the game. I was kind of. It would have been nice if the rules of the games had been explained slightly because it was really random. Just like a labyrinth that seems to slowly be disappearing, and there are monsters roaming it.
He did say you have to get to the cages.
Yeah, and there's like treasure boxes that have weapons that you can use, which does remind me of lots of RPG games I've played.
Yeah,
and some of the
or it's a giant monster.
Yeah, the treasure chest monster, which also reminds me of Zelda.
You're also chased by the panthers, which look like they come from fucking Pandora.
Yeah,
that can project holograms
of themselves.
Yeah. Reminded me a bit of the Maze Runner, actually. This bit,
the Maze Runner,
because they're in a maze and he ran.
So I don't need to watch it then. I think I get the premise.
No, it's pretty much covered there.
Okay. Cool, got it.
Anyway, spinning on. They escape. They find Forge and the kid on the docks. Forge he threatens the kid. So now the kid's like, "Oh yeah, no, you are a cunt."
Oh, in the labyrinth as well, there is a nice little kickback to Dungeons and Dragons, the '90s cartoon.
Ah, yes, yeah.
Right. So they're supposed to get to the cages. They do get to the cages, and then they decide not to go into the cages because they assume that if they go this is going to be another test, and another test, and another test. So they find another way of escaping. But inside the cage, there's one team that's managed to actually make it, and one of them is a small child barbarian with 2 horns on his head. One of them is the yellow shield bearing guy. It's the cast from that cartoon. It's a nice little reminder.
Also, a nice reminder that they're dead now.
Oh yeah.
Because the problem, Forge is trying to escape.
You just made me sad.
They steal his boat and get the kid and get the gold, and then they fuck off on the boat and leave Forge on the docks. The problem is that Sophina is using the horn of red fart death, on the congregated city beneath.
Yeah, of course.
Everyone gets out by kind of just like when they first do it, like everyone's running for their fucking lives.
Yeah, but
when the horn is first used, the second time everyone just kind of wanders off.
Yeah, but the first time, no one had any warning, and when they saw the gas, they went, "What the fuck?" They didn't know what was happening, and then they ran away. So that's too late. In this one, they'd leave a trail of treasure dropped from the air blimp that gets them out earlier. So before the mist actually starts attacking them, so they have more time.
If she should have just looked down, because she is like, "Yeah, this is all awesome." Then she looks down and like the stadium's literally empty.
Yeah.
And even when they're having the fight in the street outside, everyone's just wandering off. The only people she gets is the people in the casino over above the stadium.
Yeah.
And assumably, your team from the cartoon that's still in that cage just going, "I think we won."
Nah, those guys are really, really. They're awesome. They would have found a way out of that situation, I'm sure.
Oh, potential sequel.
You bastard! They're alive! goddammit, they're alive!
So yeah, you're right. They used the hither thither thing to dump gold from the boat onto the streets of the city, and the people and it leads the people away from the stadium. Right, Forge. There's a bit at the beginning of the games where Forge is in the center of the Colosseum on that very tall column, which at the end of it is like, "This is absurdly high. We don't agree this."
Forgot about that.
He says in his little speech to open the games, "I have a surprise for each and every one of you. So stick around and stay in the stadium." Does he know?
I think he knows.
That's dark, man.
Yeah, but he doesn't give a shit. He just wants the money to get the fuck out of Dodge.
I know, but there's like stealing. There's like killing people to like get power and shit, and then there's knowingly turning a city full of people into like dead zombies and shit.
Allowing it to happen. Actually,
and allowing it to happen.
Making it happen by tricking people into happening. Yes.
And then being like, in the games, make sure you stick around at the end for a fun surprise. Dude, fuck.
But you remember, he's the bad guy, Jeff. So
I know, but still.
he's the bad guy. So it makes a lot of sense.
There's bad and there's fucked.
And then there's Hugh Grant. Who do you think is worse? Sophina for planning and actually blowing the horn and turning them into zombies, or him for tricking them into staying so that she can turn them into zombies, and for absolutely no gain to himself whatsoever, just because
like, she's fucked. But she comes from like a society that seems to like be like angled towards that. Like she comes from like a society of darkness worshipping, like all that kind of. So it's I'm not saying she's not. This isn't the same argument as vampires aren't evil, right? she fucked. This is like bad guy. This is like Nazi level shit. This is bad, right?
So who's worse?
It's like who's worse, Nazis or collaborators?
Yeah, that's kind of the question I'm asking you. Yeah.
Like, at least Nazis, as bad as they are, they're doing it because they believe in it, whilst collaborators are doing it for their own
Yeah, they don't even believe in it, but
profit.
They're letting it happen anyway, and
Yeah.
they're kind of fucking off both sides.
Yeah, so maybe Forge is worse.
Yeah, he's a shitbag. He's a pest.
If he knew about it, yeah, then he's fucked. Yeah.
Well, he's a nasty piece of work. I can't get any more strong with my words.
Incidentally, by the way, full disclaimer, Nazis still bad.
Yeah.
Also, Red Witch is also quite bad. Right, the final battle in the square. I've only got like one real note for this, which is, okay.
Why? What? Huh?
It's just nothing really happens. They have a bit of fisticuffs in a square afterwards.
Yeah.
She's way too easy to beat up, by the way.
But she wouldn't have been too easy to beat up. She would have absolutely destroyed them if Simon hadn't found his confidence.
Yeah, Simon did find his confidence when he was pushed up against the wall. They did have mostly a CGI hand fight.
Yeah, that was weird. Weird choice. They could have been doing anything.
If they had two giant CG hands each, they could have done like that slappy fight,
Fisticuffs,
and I would have allowed it. But no, they have. They
do have kind of an arm wrestle at some point in midair, which is pointless.
But other than that, nothing really happens in it. Other than Holger gets stabbed.
Do you see her get stabbed? Because I didn't see her get stabbed.
Very, very briefly.
I didn't see it at all, and then she was just stabbed there, and I was like, "Well, when did that happen?"
Yeah, they don't draw attention to it at all, but it does happen on screen.
I hate that Red Witch. Who the hell stabs Michelle Rodriguez?
So Michelle Rodriguez is dying, and they bring out the tablet of reawakening, and it's like, well, we could bring back your mum, but
yeah, this is the point in the movie where Chris Pine's character fully redeems himself in every way.
But yeah, her mum would be like, she doesn't know her mum because she was a baby when her mum died, but she does know Michelle Rodriguez because she did actually raise her. So instead of bringing back his wife, they bring back Michelle Rodriguez.
There was a really nice point in this where it shows the memories of the relationship between Michelle Rodriguez and the kid. But all of the scenes it shows, the second time I watched it, like it's just slightly to the left of, like in the memories it shows it like full on in the middle, like center stage. When it actually happens in the earlier version, like earlier in the story, it's like just off to the left. There's a bit where they're play fighting in a bar.
All right, yeah.
But you can actually see that happening, but like not the focus of the scene.
So it's in the background earlier, but
yeah, I thought that was really clever.
All right. Yeah, I like the fact that they used it on Michelle Rodriguez instead. I have a question though. If Tablet of Reawakening just brings people back from the dead, does it like restore their body, or would it, like the guys in the battle yard, would his wife be all like decomposed and shit?
Yeah, that's a good point.
And be like, well, this is my life now.
That's a good point. Although, having said that, when they brought Michelle Rodriguez back, they didn't have to do emergency surgery, so I'm assuming it does restore the body as well.
Yeah, well, she only got stabbed in the shoulder.
No, she didn't. Just stabbed in the stomach, didn't she?
No, she got stabbed in the shoulder, but it was the Red Witch's blade, so it kills you straight away.
Ah, okay. Fair enough.
So, yeah.
Okay, so if you decapitate someone and then use the thing of awakening, they just go, yeah, I'm actually, fuck it now. You could have sewed my head on back first.
Yeah, like the hot guy from Bridgerton, he does say previously, it's like, well, your wife's like in whatever version of heaven we have here, so maybe she wouldn't be appreciative if you fucking dragging her out of it.
Yeah.
So maybe leave her where she is. Also, like, she's in a box and buried and decomposed and shit. Does it cover like restoring her body to the way that it was, or will she be a maggot infested bunch of bones forever?
It is his
like fucking death becomes her.
Yeah, good point. It was his nice subtle way of saying, "Get over it, mate." Just like, fuck's sake.
The film ends like they get like medals and they have medals and biscuits and all that kind of bollocks. Whilst Forge goes to prison. So he's in prison and he tries to do the telling his backstory. He's like, well, if I think about it, it goes back to my old mum, and it starts, and then they're like, we don't have time for this actually, and then Jonathan turns up,
and he has the exact same plan as,
but they've bricked up the window.
He just smashes the wall. Brilliant.
And then pretty much the credits start.
Do you reckon there'll be a sequel? It didn't really leave like a cliff. It didn't do that annoying thing that films do, where it just like obviously there's going to be a fucking sequel, but it's not impossible. Not impossible for there to be one either.
Right. I've got some notes on what happened and the reaction to this film. The reaction from normal people, it got quite good review. It got very good reviews actually. IMDb is 7.3, which is the almost exact opposite of what I nearly said.
That's quite low, I think. But
respectable score.
It's a respectable score. Yeah.
Rotten Tomatoes, even better, 91%.
Oh.
So, a popular film. There was a little bit of backlash against the film from the predictable quarters of the internet who have nothing else better to do than whinge about things.
No problem with people whinging. Just did they have anything useful to whinge about?
No, it's the type of people who just say everything is woke.
Oh my god, there is a woman in it, and she is strong. What the fuck? So woke.
That's one of them. Yeah. So there was backlash because there's black people and women in this. Their usual argument is, well, it's based on a game that's based on European history, so there wouldn't be black people.
How the fuck is it based on European history? Morons.
One, it's a fantasy, and two, it's a movie. It's got wizards and a magical fart horn in it, but you draw the line at black people? Shut up, dickhead.
One of the characters is a bird.
Yeah.
Is that woke?
You've got a problem with Michelle Rodriguez being a badass? Oh, is that unrealistic, is it?
That's not woke. That's just fucking fact.
They get into these arguments of like measuring women a lot. Like Michelle Rodriguez isn't that tall. She's like 5'5". And so, oh, she's this much and weighs that much. How is she throwing around 200-pound men?
Because she's a barbarian.
She's a fucking barbarian, and she's also Michelle Rodriguez, motherfucker. Have you not seen any film with her in? I'm fairly confident. I am taller and heavier than Michelle Rodriguez. Yet I am sure that she could very, very, very easily kick the living shit out of me.
I'm pretty sure that her glare would be enough to knock me out.
She's good at glaring. That said, though, everyone else, normal people, seem to like the film, but not enough people actually saw it.
Okay. Had
a budget of $150 million was the budget. Its box office was $200 million.
So it profited, but not hugely.
Not enough for the. It wasn't what they expected that it was going to be.
Yeah, so it deserves more for what it is as well.
Yeah, definitely. The sequel plans were pulled, but it's doing really well on Paramount Plus, apparently.
It might end up turning into one of those cult classic films.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Like Shawshank Redemption, when it was first put into cinemas, was a massive flop, right? And now it's one of the all-time favourites of millions of people.
So yeah, when it didn't do very well at the cinemas, and the sequels were planned, so that little corner of the internet that are dickheads went, see, we told you. But apparently it's quite popular on Paramount Plus. So now Paramount's like, well, actually, okay, the doors are open to potentially making a sequel.
Cool.
As long as it didn't cost as much.
Is it? Did it do badly because it wasn't advertised well? Because I'd never heard of this until you said, "Hey, do you want to watch this one in the Trope?" I never even knew there was a Dungeons.
It wasn't advertised well. The title's a bit chunky. It gives the impression that there are other ones that you should have seen beforehand.
Yeah, because normally you just have Dungeons and Dragons, and the sequel has the tagline.
Like Dungeons and Dragons as a brand, if you're not into Dungeons and Dragons, then it probably has a little bit of a stank on it anyway, because you're like, I'm not into that.
Also a good point.
The fact that it has a hyphenated title as well because a lot of film series don't put numbers on sequels anymore. They just put a hyphen subtitle.
Yeah.
So it's hard to tell what order a lot of films go, but when it just starts like that, you're like, oh, I didn't see the first one, so you don't watch the second one.
Yeah.
So that might have something to do with it.
So badly advertised, badly titled.
Yeah.
Oh well. I'm glad that there's a chance of a sequel, but lower budget doesn't sound promising.
Well, I don't know. They could do something. I mean, they did quite a lot. They had like the undertaints. That's got to be expensive. Fairly pointless as well. They had the undertaint. They had 2 huge genocide scenes. Actual and attempted.
True.
They had a moving maze. I mean, they could make cutbacks. They could make like a smaller story, set it in
the real world with people playing Dungeons and Dragons, and then magically get
no. Is there anything else that we haven't mentioned about this movie in particular?
No, I think we did a pretty thorough job there, actually.
Out of our teams, who do you think is the best, most cohesive team?
Oh, we didn't talk about. That's what we didn't talk about, because the Italian job, we were rating their abilities and stuff.
So
I mean, Chris Pine as a planner would kind of reminds me of Mark Wahlberg as a planner.
He wings it a lot, so he does. I think he gets points for that. Holger is the muscle. Does what she.
But he wings it a lot.
Does what it says on the.
But he wings it a lot, and his job is the planner, which means that he's not a good planner. He's a good winger, so he's not good at his job.
Yeah. Also, in the final fight, he kind of doesn't do anything.
Yeah, everyone else comes up with the plan, right? In fact, wait. In all of the fights, he doesn't do anything. Like when Holger's that guy's about to chop their head off, and she's talking about that axe and how it needs linseed oil or whatever, and then she beats the shit out of everyone while he's trying to get his ropes off, and then he hits one guy with a lute.
Yeah.
He was pretty fucking useless the entire time.
We got Holger as the muscle. Yeah, did her job perfect.
Although she did die.
She did die, so you lose points.
Which, by the way, ruined the entire point of the plan, which was to revive his wife. So she did fuck everything up.
Yeah, alright.
Selfish.
Simon the mage, he starts off shit, gets better.
Yeah, I'd say the best was probably what's her name, Doric.
Doric, yeah.
Like even when
did a job.
Even when the painting falls over, she finds a way around it and still makes it work. She doesn't fuck up once.
Yeah. So yeah, She Zenk. Well, he does his mentorship. Yeah.
He does a bloody good job. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the kid is a fucking idiot for listening in the first place.
Yeah. She mostly presented problems.
Who is the worst bad guy? out of the three. So we have what's his name?
The smoky ghost.
No, out of the three films.
Oh, out of the three films.
So we've got Richard.
Do you mean the worst as in the most evil, or the worst as in the worst at being a bad guy?
Most evil.
Okay, what was the second film we did?
It was Now You See Me. So Morgan Freeman / Michael Caine.
Ooh. It's close between Ed Norton and Morgan Freeman. I'd probably say Ed Norton. No, actually, no, Morgan Freeman, because the one job he has, he never once gets right. He's supposed to see through tricks, and never once does he see through a trick.
I thought we were talking about who was the most evil.
Okay, the most evil, that would be the Red Whip. Forge.
Forge. Yeah, there we go. Agreed. Nice. Right, is there anything else that we should
your rating out of 10?
Oh yeah, shit, rating. Keep forgetting about that. I'm gonna go high. I'll go 8.
I was thinking around 8, and then I was thinking about pushing up to 8.5. 8.5.
8.5. I'll stick at 8. Yeah, fun to be had for the whole family.
No, I think I am being a bit generous there. 8's probably fair.
Right, that's all that we have for this week. Colin, where can people find you if they so wish to do such a thing?
Japan.
Yeah, you're on TikTok now, aren't you?
I am, yeah. Unfortunately, I don't like that. I don't like it. I haven't actually used it. I just
you have to give the algorithm time.
I just the only thing I'm following is this podcast, and that's the only thing I've liked and commented on, and that's the only time I'm going to look at TikTok. Colin.Gerard92 is my Instagram one, though. If you want to see my cooking, that's about the only reason that you would ever want to check it.
You can find me at TBA_tweets, where you can either let us know what you think about the films that we saw this week, or you can suggest trope ideas for the future. So drop us a message on there if you like. Also, subscribe, follow, whatever the platform that you're listening to on this. Do whatever words those tell you to do, please. I've got to think of a better way to say that.
Also, if you have any suggestions, like different things to try in the format, then we'll be open to listening.
Also, we are on TikTok and YouTube at The Badger's Apprentice, or a variation of The Badger's Apprentice, where shorts, funny clips from these shows go up, as well as static videos of the podcast and whatever like Badger's Apprentice nonsense goes on there as well. And we also have a Patreon now, where we'll be throwing up like show notes and extra clips and bonus episodes and stuff like that. So if you want to help support the podcast, it would be highly appreciated. But that's all from me. See you next time. Laters.
See ya.